So usually with the webinars, I like to try to be as interactive as possible. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Um, we have a fairly small group today, so I can show something specific if you want me to slow down, or if you have questions about a specific feature. I'd be glad to go over and uh, have the Tiger Max and a Romeo. Awesome. All awesome. Sounds like Franklin needs to get an embryo. Then he'll have the whole family of everything. Or Brian. Not sure how that lists that exactly. Um, Perfect. Well, let's get started here. I've got Tiger Designer open, and I'm just going to open a new document. We're just going to do a letter sheet of paper. And so starting off, let's see, let me share my screen first. Probably help. So starting off, we'll go over some of the basic Tiger Designer features, and how to create tactile graphics within Tiger Designer. So once you open Tiger Designer, this is set up as kind of a paint style program. So we have uh, different shades on the left hand side of the screen. This is the different dot heights. So we have 0 through 7, and these are for tactile graphics. Then we also have the blue, which is Braille. So in total, we have 8 different dot heights that you can pick from. We also have the X here, which is no dots. We have the pen tool. So the pen tool, if we select the highest dot height, you can write with the pen. Um, and it's basically it's a pen tool. The brush tool just to the right of the pen tool is exactly like the pen tool, but it's a wider swath of dots. Um, so you can brush in different dot heights. The line tool, similar to the pen tool, just to the right of the brush. You can click and hold and draw a line. This one here, we have this set up as this is a Tiger document. You can see the little stair step in this. So if you have an Elite, if you have a Max, or a spot dot, you will have the Tiger. Tiger Plus comes with the Columbia, Delta, Embrail, and the Rogue. And so the difference in that is, so with the Columbia, Delta, the Embrail, and the Rogue, there is solenoids and dots instead of a fixed grid. So the fixed grid, when you start to draw diagonal lines, you'll notice there's a stair step with this. This is we can only place dots at we can only place dots on the fixed grid. If we were to open oops, I don't want to minimize that. I'm going to move this over to the side here. I'm going to open a whole nother Tiger Designer, and we're going to say new. And so this is the Tiger fixed grid. Tiger Plus has the solenoids with the cups and the dies. So we have a lot higher DPI. We can go up to 100 DPI on Tiger Plus. So same document, it works the same, but the outcome is a little bit different. So when we draw the diagonal tool, the line, you'll notice the dots are a lot more in line because the higher resolution on the Embrail, the Columbia, the Delta, and the Rogue. The other one you'll notice this with is the ellipse tool, or the oval tool. So we're going to draw actually, hold on, I don't want to run over on this one yet. And I'm going to hit Control Z to undo. Come over to the Tiger tool and drawing a circle here. You'll notice you get kind of a stair step again um, as the line has rounded edges on it. If we use the ellipse tool on the Tiger Plus, you'll notice the circle is a lot more of a circle. Uh, with that, though, there are kind of benefits and drawbacks on some of these. So if we were to do um, the fill tool with the Tiger technology had everything in a grid. And actually, it's pretty similar there, but you'll notice the dots are spaced a little bit differently um, than the dots on the Tiger uh, on the uh, Tiger Designer profile. Um, with that, so we have the pin tool, the brush tool, the line tool. We've went over the oval. We also have a square tool in here. So square tool is exactly as it sounds, and then also a square rectangle. Um, and so let's say that you draw this the square with a rectangle, um, and decided I don't want that to be at the full dot height. You can just use the keyboard shortcut Control Z. Keyboard shortcuts that um, work on your computer will also work here for Control C for copy, Control V. Uh, let's see, Control X is cut, Control C is copy, Control V is paste. But let's say that you wanted to do a lower dot height on the fill. You can just select a different dot height and then fill that square in with that. Let's say that we have we're just going to use this circle here, but we have a fill. So this is a flood fill, and this will fill just like a paint bucket would in Microsoft Paint. This will fill it in with whatever dot height we have selected. So I'm going to do uh, a lower dot height. We're going to do dot height. I think this is dot height 2, and we can fill that in, and that will fill in the oval with that. Um, Also, so we have the flood fill as an option, and then right next to the flood fill, there's the pattern. Um, there's the pattern fill. This works just like the flood fill, but you can choose different patterns with this. So these patterns are uh, already come by default, but you can edit these patterns. We're just going to use the excitement pattern for now. Select OK, and this gives us our paint bucket again. So you can select different things. Again, if you want to undo that, you can Control Z. That's going to undo that. We're going to select a different pattern. I'm going to do this one because it's got kind of an interesting shape here. So you can do different patterns with that. Also, we have the select tool. So with that, we can select part of this. Now with the selection, once it's selected, we can use the keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to do Control X. So this will cut the selection that we have, and then I can do Control V, and that will make this to where this selection is movable. The thing you want to do with the selections is anytime that you have a selection, that will override anything that is underneath it. So if I start to move this over top of the oval uh, is canceled out. So again, we can use the selection tool. Initially, I did Control X for cut. I can do Control C and then Control V, and this will paste it so we can move have two of them or move them around. Um, and so the selection tool is pretty good for manipulating certain parts of the graphic. We also have the Braille tool, so you can click on an area and type in Braille. I'm just going to say test, oops, test. And this is the Braille font and the orientation of the Braille font. So we can just put test here on the bottom of the box if we want to select the Braille tool. We also still have test, but I'm going to do the orientation of vertical. Select OK, and then we can place this one on run the other side. So you can add labels in different places if you would like to do that. Um, with that, there's a couple things. I'm going to close out of this.
Linda wants to know if you can show us how to make jumbo braille.
Sure. So let's do the jumbo braille here closer to the end. And design. We will please remind me closer to the end. We'll do jumbo braille. So we have a new document. We do have a couple cool things. Actually, you know what? Let's put a graphic in here. We're gonna start working on graphics. I'm going to box cartoon line art, images, and find one of these. I like this little guy here. And because Google is a little bit complicated sometimes and doesn't want you to save things, I'm going to cheat here just a little bit. And I'm going to hit print screen. And this is going to just make a selection. So hitting the print screen button on your keyboard will allow you to copy parts of your screen. So because this is, because you can use the keyboard shortcuts Control C, Control X, Control V, I have that little fox that we just looked up saved as, or it's saved to my clipboard. So I can just Control V. And this inputs the fox into Tiger Designer. Now, this doesn't look great to start with. So the nice part is we have bitmap properties that comes up when you paste images in, and you can adjust different aspects of that between the brightness, the edges, and the contrast. So if we grab the slider, you can adjust the brightness. So that doesn't really make it for this image. I don't think that the brightness is really the issue here. So I'm gonna move that back to 0 or close to 0. Contrast, let's try contrast here. So contrast, if we move the line way down, makes it almost kind of blurry. But we can adjust this. And actually, I think that if we um, let's set this at about 17 here, and then I'm going to do edges. And if we do more edge detection, you'll notice some extra dots show up on the screen, and we can adjust to see if that makes a difference. I don't think the edges is necessarily an issue either. So I'm going to pull the edges back down to 0, and we're going to adjust. I'm going to adjust the contrast to be, I think, actually, I think 7. I had it at 17 earlier, I think. I'll leave it about 11. And you can say apply. And so now we have our graphic of the fox that we have put in here. With that, there are a couple cool things you can do to the graphic. I'm going to use some keyboard shortcuts here. I like keyboard shortcuts. And that's some of the fun things you can do within the transform section. So let's just Control A, and that's going to select the entire document. Um, from that, you can do a couple cool things. I start off by saying flip. So that will flip the fox upside down. We're going to flip him back. Say mirror. So the mirror will um, mirror the image over to the other side. Um, and then we're going to say rotate. And so this will rotate the fox at 90 degrees. And we can continue to say rotate until the fox rotates all the way around. And rotate and rotate. So we've moved the fox around a little bit. And actually I'm gonna mirror the fox over just so we have a different fox that we're working with. Um, the other thing that you can do is go back to Control A here. We're going to transform. Um, is shift. Shift is you can shift the image to the right or to the left, or up or down by using the horizontal or vertical shift, and it asks you in pixels. So I'm going to say I want to shift this by 50 pixels and hit OK, and this shifted the fox over just a little bit. His tail's off the page, so we're just going to Control C and move that back. One of the cool things about Tiger Designer that I think goes overlooked sometimes is down here at the bottom. It shows the X and the Y axis as you're moving around, but then this number over here shows the dot height that is. So as you move your mouse around, and if I hover over this dot, that shows that that dot that I'm on is a dot height 4. And so some of these, there's dot height 7. So it looks like there's the highest dot height on those. So let's select these again. And um, the other fun thing that I like to do is color. Um, Actually, we did, and so color brings up the edges again, so you can add more edges to it. That will pull in the dot height 4 up to a higher dot height. You can say apply. So this, I think, does pretty good at um, taking that image that wasn't very clear at the beginning. Actually, I think I still might have it. So let's just do Control V. Perfect. And I'm just going to use the default and say apply. So you can see kind of the difference of the grainy tactile graphic that got put in by default and how we can use some of the features, um, how we can use some of those features within transform and color to help clarify that image a little bit. So I'll take the fox back out. And then, so this is basically the first image here. And we can add different things of pattern fills. So if we want to do, I say that he is so I think this is one of the patterns. This is, uh, that's the color red. And so we can do um, some patterns there if you'd like. We can change different parts of that to pattern fill. And we're going to say we want to do different pattern for his tip of his tail. But if for some reason, let's say that you don't like the patterns that are there by default, we can go into, oops, pattern, and we have a pattern editor. So we have the default here, and we're going to add a new pattern. So the new pattern is going to be a 4x4 pixel. I'll call this, we'll just leave that with new, but you can change the name to whatever you would like with it. And you can pick different dot heights. So we're going to use the highest dot height here. And I'm going to do kind of a different design than actually. Let's do a fill there. So we're gonna do a design for this one. Um, and hit OK. And so now in the color pattern, oh, I didn't save that there. Hold on. Go back to the tool, patterns, pattern editor. We're saying new. And we're gonna do dot heights. Up to the top here. And we're gonna say OK. And for some reason, it's not saving it. So I'm just gonna edit one of the other ones. Tools, pattern, edit this one, and we're gonna change the stamp date. Okay. And as we, for some reason, it's not saving that, but you can go in and edit the patterns. Can go in and edit the patterns to use the patterns you want. There's also different patterns that you can use. I know that Lindsay uses, I think it's the VP7 pattern for that. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out this one. And then let's set up entire designer. One of the fun things that I like to do, let's say that you have something that's already designed. Let's do a rectangle fill, but I'm going to do a lower dot height on this one. We're going to do a couple different rectangles. Let's do this rectangle. Now we're doing oval that has oops, I meant to do a fill on that one. So let's do a oval there. We can do the select tool on this, and we can either select just a portion of this, and then we can go up to transform and go down to color. And this is where the edges come in for that. So you can edit just that selection, which I think is pretty neat. So if you want to change just that one, you can say apply, and then that will change just that square. And I think we had done dot height 4 originally. So this shows that this is dot 5 down here where it says 0. If we hover over that, that is dot height 5. This is also dot height 5, so it changed just the one. And if you want to do Control A, this will select the entire document, and then we can go back to transform again. And we can do edges, can adjust the contrast or the brightness. So we're going to write both these down in brightness, so apply. And so we now have dot height 2. So if you want to edit certain parts of if you want to edit certain parts of it or the entire document, you can adjust that with the transform. And let me see if this is, so this is a Tiger Plus because of the line. Let's say that you make a new document. designer, say file new. And so this is Tiger Plus. Right? Switch that over to Tiger. So if you have a Tiger document that you've edited, and let's say some of the lines are kind of stair-stepped in there, you can go transform and convert this to Tiger Plus. That will convert the entire document um, to where as you're editing lines, there'll be more of a more of a straight line instead of a stair-stepped. Convert to Tiger. This will convert it back, making it more stair-stepped. Any, let's see, I got one, looks like I got one question here. Can we cover Jumbo Braille? Yes, and I think you'd asked that on the last one here. So the Jumbo Braille usually is within Word.
Brian just asked, so Tiger Plus Designer is only on Columbia, Delta, and Rogue?
And the in Braille. And so the difference in that is with the Max, the Elite, and the Premier, and the Spot Dot. There's a platen in there that the solenoids punch into, and so it has to be a fixed grid. Um, so depending on when we came out with the Columbia, that we had changed the technology. That's the reason that so we changed the technology with the Columbia and the Delta. That's why when we had replaced the Max, we used the Rogue to do that. The Rogue is a great upgrade to the Max because it it has a higher resolution there. Plus, it's really really fast. The Max is fast too, but um, it's just a different technology between the Tiger and the Tiger Plus. So let's do. So if we have just text that we have in a Word document, we can go into Tiger. In our profiles, I'm going to open up the Lloyd profile here, and I'm going to select Jumbo Braille and apply, save. Then if we translate the document, it should ask me to save it. So with that profile setting in there, just checking the box is how you do Jumbo Braille. So you go in your profiles on the left-hand side, open up whatever profile it is you want, and then just check the Jumbo Braille box. All of the contractions will stay the same. If you want to use Jumbo Braille, um, that's a great way to do that. I can say cancel here, and I'm going to reload the original document, which will take it back to just the text. I'm going to go to the Tiger menu at the top, and I'm going to select a different one. So I know Doug's doesn't use Jumbo Braille. I don't know if he has grade 1 or grade 2. We're just going to say translate this document. Oh, yeah, Doug's had it. We were playing around with the profile there. So let me do, just say Lloyd's, open the document. Oh, hold on. Reload original. Back to the Tiger menu. I'm going to open Lloyd's and uncheck Jumbo Braille. Apply, save, and translate the document.
Linda asks, does this take new software?
Nope. This is still the TSS software. What software are you used to using, Linda?
Old.
Old. Um, I don't know when Jumbo Braille became an option. I think it's been there for at least TSS 6. and 7, I think. It might have been in 7 that Jumbo Rail came into that. But if you do have old software, we do upgrades for Tiger Software Suite. And it's depending on what version you have, we can do perpetual licenses or yearly licenses for that. And there's a different price for upgrading than just buying the software outright. I think, so let's see, let's go to the website here because I don't want to tell you the wrong number. So for TSS, if you just want to buy it outright, it is $599 for TSS 8, and that is for the perpetual license, or it's $195 for the yearly license. And if you want to upgrade from a previous version, we have it at $395, and that is for a perpetual license. So it's a little bit of a discount there if you've already paid for TSS. Any other questions on Tiger Designer or anything that anybody wants to see? I should be able to, let's see. Oops, it's the wrong one. This. I'm gonna try something here real quick because I should be able to do select this, do transform. Yes, that is one of the cool features that I like is the edges. So if you draw something, if you were to draw some shapes on there, but you realize that you wanted to have borders on that to make that easier, it's pretty easy to add borders afterwards as well. So we have, looks like we have kind of a smaller group, so somebody should take advantage of this if you guys have any questions or anything that you want to go over. Be glad to dive into that on Tiger Designer. Okay, well, I guess if nobody has any questions, this was kind of an intro to Tactile Graphics and Tiger Designer. We do have
we have a couple people typing.
okay. Do you import into TSS and then emboss, or can you emboss from Tiger Designer? You can emboss directly from Tiger Designer. You can import. So let's say that you have, oops, and then is the Tiger Plus available with the APH Pixblaster? Tiger Plus is the same as the Pixblaster is the same as the Columbia. So yes, you would use Tiger Plus on that one. The import into TSS. So TSS is the whole bundle. So you can use Word, you can use Tiger Designer with that. So if you have, let's say you have a Word document. I was trying to focus specifically on Tiger Designer today, but let's do Bart Simpson because I like using Bart. We're just gonna add a new one. And these here. Oh, they're the one that I like to use has escape. Actually, we're gonna use the paint can one. I don't think I've used this one before. So if you do Control P, that's the same as print, and I have it set to print a file. So this will actually make a Tiger Designer file. I can move that to the desktop. I'm going to call this BART. And this is a PRN file, so the PRN files are going to be for Tiger Designer. As soon as that's done, oops, I'll save. I should have a BART file. And so this is the file that we had put into the Word document. And then from here, you can edit it. Or if you were to make this in here, you can just hit Control P. I have that set to print a file. I don't have a printer installed on here, but you can print directly from Tiger Designer. Did that, let's see, who was it that asked that question? Was it Brian? Was that, did that answer the question that you had, Brian? Awesome. And so a lot of this stuff with Tiger Designer, you can, um, I know we took a Word document and turned it into a Tiger Designer file, but if I were to, I'm just going to look up that same thing in Word again. Um, so let's go insert pictures, online pictures. This is going to be kind of a different, most of the time you wouldn't do it this way, but it's just kind of for an example. Simpson, choose a skateboard one. So let's say you find an image. Just a little too big, but I'm going to take most of it here. And I'm just going to do the print screen again. This can kind of dim the screen down, and then I can do a selection of BART. And I'm not going to get all of it. And you can either do that, or I can right click on the image, say copy the image. If I go back to Tiger Designer, I can Control V, and that will paste the image in. Maybe, hold on. Let's see if we go back here and go, oops, print screen. Take part of this, it's not the full image, but back to here, Control V. And so this brings us in here as that copied text. And then you can edit this with the bitmap properties. So you can change the contrast ratio here. So I'm going to bring that down a little bit. Actually, I don't want to edit that one. Hold on. Let's do, I don't know if I want to do borders or edges. I don't really like the edges there, so let's go with that. I think. So if I have enough contrast, it's going to add the shadows in there. I'm going to do just enough contrast that the shadows disappear because I don't really want the shadows in there. I think it makes the image easier to read with that. So I'm going to hit apply. And then we've got the image here. If I click off, we can use the select tool. I'm going to select the text down here, and we're just going to select that, and then I'm going to hit the delete key on my keyboard. That removes that because the text in there looks like Matt's signature here. So yeah, we have a tactile graphic with BART. If we would like to add the Braille back in, translate that without, because it doesn't translate images of text, it just translates text. So I'm going to say Matt. Okay, oh, I did vertical. Control Z. I'm going to back and edit text. Switch this to horizontal. Matt. Click OK. So we can add the Braille text Braille text back in. If you want to do the pattern editor, you can edit stuff with this. So I'm going to use the excitement pattern. I'm going to change Bart's skateboard just to a different pattern if you wanted to apply patterns or change the graphic in any way. So hopefully this is helpful with the transform, being able to adjust it. I'm going to do Control A, transform, go back to color, and that's what brings up these brings up the bitmap properties, and you can make adjustments to that. That I also think you can hit apply patterns, invert color. Sometimes that works with that works sometimes if if you have maybe charts or graphs, things like that you would want to invert colors or apply patterns to, but this one being an image is not specifically beneficial there. Awesome. Let's see. Do we have any other questions here? If not, we might end this training a little bit early, but let's see. We have another training coming up in 2 weeks. Let me go to polls. We're gonna add a poll here. And what would you like the train to be on next week or in 2 weeks? Just so some of the stuff like with the labels, I just kind of the point of the webinars we have is I just want to go over how to use the tool. Sometimes there's different guidelines and things like that. I know Banner has guidelines. So we try to show how to use the tool. If you guys have different guidelines you want to use, so feel free to place labels wherever you see fit to be as beneficial for you as possible. Perfect. Let's see, we got one response. Not sure. Simple. Okay, so I will come up with. Um, has anybody seen the coloring books that Lindsay has been making, or the activity books? Yes. Um, would you like to see a demonstration on how some of those are made? I know she uses Illustrator quite a bit. Illustrator's not really an accessible tool, but we've kind of talked about that a little bit on how to use Illustrator. Maybe some of the fun ways to. Yes, that's the webinar I missed a while back. Perfect. Well, let's do that. Next week we'll go over creating some of the images in Illustrator.
Not next week, in 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. Thank you, Lindsay. So in 2 weeks we'll go over how to or how Lindsay has created some of the coloring books and activity books. Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for attending, and I'll send out an email with a sign up to be able to attend webinar here in a couple weeks.